Blood Angels versus Tyranids. Warhammer 40k Battle Report. Nick speaking, and welcome to this battle report. Right, today it's going to be Tyranids versus Blood Angels. This is my first outing with the new Tyranid Codex. Playing a little fun game, 1000 points. We've rolled for the mission and we're playing Ancient Relic. So in my list I have Old One Eye and then 6 heavy supports, 2 Screamer Carnifexes, it's 2 separate units. I have Mr. Tiggles, the Toxicrene there. In reserve I have 3 Morlocks. And then finally I've got a squad of 7 Gene Stealers. No upgrades on any of the models. In the Blood Angels deployment zone over here we have a Vanguard detachment. We've got 3 speeders, all with hurricane missiles and heavy bolters. We've got a dreadnought there. We've got some Death Company with some Thunderhammers in. At the back, a captain. In reserve we've got some Vanguards with Thunderhammers and also a chaplain. So that is the setup. We now need to roll off and see which one of our 4 objectives are going to be the primary objective. Okay, so before we find out which objective we are going to be fighting over, we need to work out who is going first. Just out of reference, my army here tonight is Kraken. Okay, so let's roll off and see who goes first. The Tyranids did finish deploying last, so the Blood Angels get +1 to their dice roll. So I am rolling a 1, that's not good. A 2, so Blood Angels are going to go first. Unless I can seize the initiative, let's have a go. Okay, here we go. A 3, no. So now we need to find out which objective we are going to be fighting over. So do you want to roll a dice? A 2. That is the middle one. That's a good objective, so we can fight in the middle over that objective. Right, Blood Angels, turn 1. Okay, so that was turn 1 for the Blood Angels. The Dread moving and advancing forward, but just 2 inches. The Death Company there moving into that piece of terrain where we have the objective. In the meantime, those speeders there opened up all of their guns. The small guns on the Gene Stealers, and they removed 4 Gene Stealers. I lost 1 more for morale. And then the big missiles into a Carnifex, wiping him off of the table very swiftly indeed. That was the end of Blood Angels turn 1. The reserves decided not to come out this time. So we're going to move on now to turn 1 for the Tyranids. Okay, so turn 1 for the Tyranids. So I brought all 3 Morlocks in from reserve. I moved Old One Eye and the Carnifex up forward into that piece of terrain there. And then the Gene Stealers moved over behind the obelisk, and the Toxicrene moved up and assaulted the Death Company. I managed to kill a couple of Death Company in the assault, and then I took no wounds in return. And then the Morlocks came down, 2 over here by the speeders. This one and the other one causing some mortal wounds. The captain took 2 mortal wounds and the speeder is down to just 2 wounds left. And then the middle Morlock managed to kill 1 Death Company and also take a couple of wounds off of the Dreadnought. And that was pretty much it for the Tyranid turn 1. Okay, so now we're going to go on to Blood Angels turn 2. Okay, so Blood Angels turn 2. So these guys here, the Vanguard and the Chaplain, came down from Deep Strike just there. In the meantime, the Dread moved over, used one of his stratagems to help these guys get into assault. And then over here the speeders opened up their missiles on this Morlock and totally whiffed, not 1 wound coming through. The heavy bolters, however, shot into this Carnifex and did 2 wounds. And then these guys here quite easily took out Mr. Tiggles with their Thunderhammers. He didn't explode. So that was turn 2 for the Blood Angels. We're going to move in now to turn 2 for the Tyranids. Okay, so Tyranid turn 2, and the Tyranids went for it. I basically assaulted with everything that I could. This Morlock came over here and assaulted the Vanguards. The Carnifex assaulted the Death Company. The Gene Stealers didn't assault, they just hid behind the pillar there. And the 2 Morlocks targeted the Speeders. The Morlocks, all 3 of them failed their mouth attacks. They got the hits out, but on the wounds, all 3 of them rolled a 2. However, they did manage to kill 1 Speeder and the 2nd Speeder down to 3 wounds. The Carnifex there killed 1 Death Company and took a few wounds in return. He's down to 3 wounds. The Morlock killed 2 of those guys there. Remember, they've all got Thunder Hammers, and I am now down to 9 wounds on my Morlock. We did some morale, but no one died for morale. Okay, so that is it. We're going to move in now to turn 3 for the Blood Angels. Okay, so that was Blood Angels turn 3. So first of all, some falling back. The Speeders and the Captain fell back over there. They shot the heavy weapons, -1 ballistic skill at the Morlock and missed, but they did take out the remaining 2 Gene Stealers with the heavy bolters. And then these guys here fell back from the Carnifex up over there. And then the Dreadnought came up and assaulted my Morlock. Everything attacked my Morlock. I rolled incredibly well. I was -3 AP, needing 6s, and I rolled about 4 6s in total. I didn't lose a wound on the Morlock. And then in return, my Jaw took out the Dreadnought. I put the Scything Talons onto these guys here, but I did no damage. And that was it. So we're going to now move on to Tyranid turn 3. Okay, so Tyranid turn 3. Old One Eye moved up onto the objective after the Carnifex moved around here and assaulted these guys. As you can see, in the assault I did no damage, and the Vanguard there killed my Morlock, which exploded on a 6. I'm rolling a lot of 6s tonight. I killed 1 of the Vanguards and I took 1 wound on my Carnifex. In the meantime, this Morlock here moved and advanced towards the middle where the objective is, and the other Morlock went over there and assaulted the Speeders, killing 1 of the Speeders there. And that was pretty much it. So we are going to move in now to Blood Angels turn 4. Okay, so Blood Angels turn 4. We're going quite quick now, not too much left. What happened was the Speeder fell back, shot into my Morlock, did no damage. The Captain also fell back there. And then these guys here came up, the Death Company assaulting the Carnifex, with these guys here just wiped him out. So he died, and that was it. So we're going to move on now to turn 4 for the Tyranids. Okay, so Tyranid turn 4. So the Morlock that was in the middle of the table there moved onto the objective as Old One Eye moved over and assaulted the Death Company and the Vanguards. I managed to kill 2 of the Death Company. However, all of those heavy weapons there, taking One Eye out quite easily with their damage of 3 for each one. And then over here, the other Morlock just burrowed in reserve. So I've got 1 Morlock left on the table that has to survive 1 turn or the game is over. Let's see what happens. Okay, so turn 5 for the Blood Angels. The Morlock didn't survive. I blame Old One Eye because he was supposed to hold those guys up in the assault so they couldn't come over and do what they did. However, yes, Blood Angels victory. Okay, so that's it for this battle report. Beam me up.